getting that distal taper to match the piece of paper. And the width is working out just fine. Back here I'm going to have to make it super wide to make it for that big pointed chunk in the blade, but we'll get there. The press works really well for flattening it and taking out any hammer marks, but for the fine worked areas like the point and the ends of these guards, I like to use a hammer because you get so much more control. You can move it exactly where you want. Just a minute ago there, I couldn't get the fire to work. There was a large clinker. Basically any of the sand or clay or little rocks that doesn't get sifted out of my charcoal. And then whatever nails were in the boards kind of makes this big bloom in the bottom of my forge and plugs the air grate. So that's why I had to dig in the forge and take it out. Now I have to kind of rebuild the fire, rebank the coal bed. But there again, not a problem in a gas forge, which for ease of being in town, I may, for the meantime, convert to propane shortly, but definitely no problem with an induction forge, which is eventually my goal. Again, that's not the end-all be-all. There are some things that are just too large for that, and I'll have to go back to charcoal. But I think it would save my lungs a lot. This is what a clinker looks like. See, it almost looks like volcanic ash. You can see some of the stones melted in there, and basically slag and glass. Obviously not very good for air to go through. Now on this piece, I didn't get it thick enough down here, so I'm going to actually upset the bar. And to do that, I cool it where I don't want it to move. I just beat on it. It's going to squish the steel this way. Because if I get it hotter, it'll work faster. But, yeah. It's been about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours I've been working, and my fire is really getting clogged up down in the bottom with more and more clinkers. And well, about time for my wife to get home, about time for me to actually stop for the day. So I'm going to get that up to a nice orange temperature, the whole area where I worked it, and that'll be about that 1500 degrees, the same temperature you'd quench. But this time I'm going to stick it in sand and hold that temperature for at least 2 or 3 hours. That'll soften all of the work hardening I just pounded into it. Make it easier to clean up with a grinder and forge next time I heat it up. That ought to do the trick. And now to the fire, I'll shut it off. Quench the good coal in a can and then sift the clinkers out of it later. That's most of the clinker. In fact, that's all clinker. And there's the air grate, all just ashes and junk. Most of what I got in the barrel, there's some on the ground, I'll kind of sweep it up. That's still usable. choke everything down just in case. Don't want any fires. So for all the coal I dumped in there, that's sure not a lot of waste. I mean, as far as most of it was consumed in heat. Very little ash. That's 4 hours of forging. We're done.